When I was a child, I used to have these crazy aspirations: be a pilot, go to the military, be a president, just things that were out of the ordinary for a kid. And my family used to look at me like I was crazy, but they were so amazed by the amount of ambition that I was blessed with, because my father and my uncle would tell me this story, and they would say, yeah, coming from Mexico and hearing, my Mexican son have these type of aspirations at age 4, age 5, age 6, age 7, they couldn't understand the level of thought process that I would have even at that time, that level of self-belief that I had. I never lived with the I can't do something mentality. It's like poison. Once you believe you can't do something, you truly dilute yourself into thinking you can. When we've been instilled with power by the Most High as men to move in faith, faith in Him, to have self belief in ourselves that He's given us the gifts and the abilities to achieve whatever end result we want to achieve, right? I say this to say this: if you have no goals, you have no ambition, you have no desires, you can't ever be grateful, because you've never put your best foot forward to go after something you truly want, you desire to fail. A lot of times people say, one of the best things they could do is be grateful. Be grateful every morning for the life you have. It's hard to be grateful if you've never lost. If you've never lost anything in your life, if you've never failed, it's hard to be grateful. So I've come to the realization and the understanding just through experience that you have to lose. You have to fail if you truly want to be grateful in anything in this life. You know, Naturally, anything that we're around for too long or we have too much access to, we naturally just take it for granted. It is what it is. You know, that car that you bought brand new 5 years ago, now you don't even care if you accidentally back into something, you know, because you've had so much access to it, you just stop caring. You just don't see it as valuable anymore because you see it all the time. Oftentimes in relationships is where we see this the most. A couple will move in, they'll be fervent for each other, they're always with each other, and then, years later in the marriage, they can't even stand being next to each other anymore. It's because they've been around each other so much, they just take each other for granted at this point. They're just like, well, that person's gonna be there, so, why do I care? And especially as men, women will do this shit to us. And it's not their fault entirely. Like, they begin to take stuff for granted because we've given them too much of ourselves. We don't allow them to breathe. We don't allow them to miss us. That's something my mom used to tell me. Um, Me and my ex, we were always together. She's like, you need to give her time to miss you, and I didn't understand that. Which is where it led both of us to being ungrateful for each other, and even to the point where she would say like, I don't feel like you'd care if I left. And me as a man, I would say, well, shit, like, I have to be prepared if you leave. You know what I mean? Like, I can't be thinking about like, you leaving or not. I have like, if you leave, you leave. What can I do about it? To build gratitude and not just practice gratitude, because a lot of people will tell you that they don't tell you how to build it. You have to be willing to lose. You have to be willing to fail, because now your ego's on the line. Okay, the ego's on the line, right? Those times where you're suffering to get to your end result, whether let's use the gym as an example because it's so easy. When you're out there fucking running on the treadmill, doing miles after a fucking, you know a crazy lift. Like me, what I do is I fucking do legs, and then just to see if I could push myself, I'll go run 3 miles on the treadmill. Speed 8, speed 9, speed 10, and then pace myself, speed 6, and then go back to 8, pace 4. Once I get to the physique that I want to, I know for a fact I don't want to have to fucking bust my ass the way I have been busting. Pause. Bust my ass in the extreme way that I've been doing it. Um, Again, not to say that I don't love the grind, I don't love the process, but when you have to work hard for something, you're gonna do a lot better job of maintaining it. But if you give yourself, too much access to that thing, you're just naturally gonna stop caring about it. So if you're someone who is ungrateful, not through your words, but by your actions, it's because you have too much access to it. You don't value it. Sometimes that may be yourself. You don't value yourself. You're not willing to, you know, push yourself to new heights and put your ego on the line. How are you ever gonna be grateful? You have nothing to lose. You haven't lost shit. You haven't failed. How the fuck are you gonna be grateful? So to truly build gratitude, you have to fucking lose. Lose yourself, become obsessed over a result, and become a new man who only focuses on the process. Lose a woman so when the next woman comes around, you understand how to actually maintain her, and you understand don't give yourself too much. Don't overgive yourself. Like I was in great shape before. I had done all the work, to grind and get in great shape. I got fat. I got fatter than I ever was in my life. And now I've had to lose all the weight. And it's taken me about a year and a half plus going on, because the journey doesn't stop, to get back to good shape. And I've told myself, I'm not willing to give up what I have right now to get big again because it's definitely not worth it. Like the way I would feel and, sluggish, groggy, just weak all the time. And to compare to how I feel now, like to know that you were in great shape and then to let yourself go like that, to lose that part of yourself who was disciplined, bro, it's horrible. It's a horrible feeling. I've done it. I've lost myself, lost aspects of myself, and then, you know, just end up weak, fat. It's horrible. But I'm now able to be grateful because now I've learned new things and I've upgraded along the way. I'm much more disciplined than the first time around. The first time around, I was in good shape, but I didn't have the body that I wanted because I wasn't willing to put in the work. Now I understand. Now I have the self control to be able to do it. Now I have the discipline to cut out the extra stuff. Now I'm willing to go to extreme lengths because it became a part of who I am. I understand if I'm disciplined with the scriptures, I could be disciplined in my fitness. I could be disciplined with women. I could be disciplined with making content. I could be disciplined in every aspect of my life because that's just who I am. To build gratitude, you have to take your time in the process. You have to be consistent because when you're consistent, it's going to show you who you really are because consistency will also expose you. If you can't be consistent, there's a reason for that. And you have to ask yourself, why can I be consistent? What is really holding me back? And most oftentimes than not, it's fear, it's doubt, lack of self belief. You know, you may do it some days, it's a lack of discipline. You're lacking in somewhere. There's a hole in your game. You know, you may even be lacking gratitude. So to build gratitude, you have to lose. And it's okay to lose, you know. People that are winners, have a winning mindset, they understand that they truly don't lose. They learn, they upgrade, they make adjustments to their game.